Stiles and Watkins, if you are just now joining us earlier in the week, at the beginning of the week, we reacted to Sasha Vezenkov and the reports that Sasha wanted out of Sacramento. There were also reports that Sacramento said, hey, we don't know that you're in our future plans. Well, now Sean Cunningham of Fox 40, sports reporter, comes out and says, while Sasha remains frustrated with the lack of playing time in his first NBA season with the Sacramento Kings, I'm told by several sources that there is no truth to the report of his desire to leave the NBA. One source close to Vezenkov called the report off base and that he will honor his contract. I've also been told the Kings want to keep him, but there's also a market for him. Sacramento, or perhaps another team that offers a larger rotational role, remains to be seen. As we react to that, we hope to get Sean Cunningham on the show, hopefully tomorrow.
We know he's going to be on the station tomorrow.
He's going to be somewhere on this station.
We're still trying to figure out where it's going to be.
Yes, somewhere on this station tomorrow. Hopefully it is on Stiles and Watkins.
That's right, the best show on Sactown Sports.
Yeah, and we can just tie a bow on it for now, Chris. But, this thing is still kind of evolving. Yeah. But you got to think, if you're Sasha, you want, I guess, the best PR possible for other teams, right? That's the other thing. So what are you telling me? You're telling me you're virtually unknown, right, in terms of what you can do on the basketball court because you didn't get that much playing time and then you got injured. And then on top of that, you're out here making demands like you're Kevin Durant, like you're James Harden, like you're Kyrie Irving. You're demanding an out. And, Chris, we're really only in the King spaces, but this is not something that you hear about that often. The only thing I can recall, to be completely honest with you, was I think it was last year when Jonathan Kuminga, his camp, said Jonathan Kuminga wasn't happy with his playing time, and his camp said, hey, we want our playing time, or we want his playing time changed, or there's going to be heck to pay, something of that regard. I don't even know whatever happened with that. It just kind of went away. Kuminga stayed on the team.
Started playing.
I think he came out and said that it wasn't true or something like that towards the end of the season. And then he played last season. So that's the only thing I could think of as far as, and Jonathan Kuminga probably had more leverage than Sasha Vezenkov, to be completely honest with you. So it never made sense from the jump. We hope to get Sean on somewhere on this show, as we are the flagship for the Kings, and we will keep you up to date there. Any closing thoughts on that one, Chris?
No, I was just trying to find a team that makes the most sense for him. And, there's just not like 100%, like a perfect ideal. Oh my God, they could really use specifically Sasha in that place. I mean, I think Milwaukee would be a situation where that would make a lot of sense to him. Possibly New York could just use a guy to stand out on the perimeter and knock down threes. Maybe Philly. And I'm kind of just trying to send him over to the East, but I'm just trying to find a place where maybe, if they were to get to a situation where, we already made all the deals we want to make and Sasha's here and we kind of promised him we'd at least kick the tires on somewhere, where would be somewhere where it would just be okay, this is more about finding Sasha a good home versus the Kings trying to get something really good in return back. And I'll try and think about it more probably over the night, but can't really find a place in which it just seems to make 100% ton of sense. Maybe Phoenix, that Sasha could just go and plug and play.
Well, the reason you don't know how much sense it'll make is because you also don't really know what he is and what he. I mean,
we do to an extent. We know what he brings. I mean, he's a dynamite shooter for sure. It's just, like, can he survive? How good of a rebounder is he? Where are the places where they could use a forward, a 6'9" forward, and they have a center that makes sense to pair next to Sasha? Like, we know the things that he's not going to be good at. So we might not know the things he 100% can do, but we do know where he's limited and where are places where you can kind of hide those limitations.
Yeah. 916 is saying Kuminga cut his hair. That's what happened to Allen. That's from S1. Yeah, he cut his hair with no lineup. So you knew he was trying to just a fresh start. He just went. Yeah. He just straight cut that thing. He didn't even get it lined up. That's how you know he was in a dark place. But you got a bunch of playing time. And Chris, one of those situations now with Kuminga where this is what's so interesting when we talk about the most improved player conversation. And obviously we know there were certain reasons I was very interested in the Jonathan Kuminga most improved player. So now he didn't make it. He wasn't eligible technically because he didn't hit the amount of games, right? So even though he made that, this was funny. He made this huge jump, wasn't eligible. Even if he was eligible, he wasn't going to win. So now next season, the chances of him making another huge jump points-wise probably isn't probable, right? So he's kind of cooked for the most improved player award, and this whole thing is confusing to me, the most improved player.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
know if it carries over. Well, you know what I mean? Oh, well, he improved. Let's not forget in 2023, he did this.
Sure.
And even though he's only up 5 more points, if you add it all together, you know what I don't know if that's how they view it.
No, it's only year over year. And yeah, they don't care about your previous season. If you missed out on 1 year, too bad. Like you're not going to get one the following season. And yeah, I mean, most improved has always been one of those weird ones where I think John Morant won it. And I think Tyrese Maxey won it this year. And it's like, well, what, you improve from good to like really good to like really, really good. Like what? And so it should be, the spirit of it should be Jonathan Kuminga. The spirit of it should be somebody who went from obscurity. You can maybe argue like Dante Exum, someone who was out of the league to, oh my gosh, he's like actually a rotational player now.
Right.
Isaiah Hartenstein would probably get it if you were giving it to somebody at the end of the season. Yeah, it's always been a really confusing award. And, you know, that's a whole separate set of issues where, you know, what is the clutch player of the year and things like that.
Clutch metrics and things like that. From Daily Sabonis, as Chris kind of started to talk about before the break on X or Twitter, this is what they had to say. Losing hope that the Kings will somehow keep and use their 13th pick. Looks like they've only worked out players for their 45th pick and potential undrafted free agents. And you look at the different players that they did work out, Chris, and essentially the ones that have numbers means that they may get drafted, right? Or and if there's no number by them, they're probably not even getting drafted. So the ones that have numbers, that means that's like the highest they would go. And those that don't have numbers.
Yeah, those are just the consensus mock draft.
Right? Exactly. And 1, 2, 3, 4,
7.
7 of them. Only 7 of them in the whole list. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty long list. And they've worked out, it looks like around 20 people, 20 players.
Yeah. It just looks like to me, like, yeah, I mean, what their second round pick, I think is 45 or something like that. You know, it definitely is starting to point at, you know, unless we start to learn, again, private workouts, which definitely could happen. But we just haven't seen much of it. Maybe that's the case that it just hasn't been reported on. But yeah, if you're looking at these names and where they're supposed to go, this is the Kings maybe might look to get a guy early second round, maybe, you know, with the draft being 2 days now, first round 1 day, second round the second, maybe, you know, we see in the NFL sometimes, oh my God, this guy was supposed to go in the 20s and now he's available in the second round. There's going to be a frenzy for him up top.
Right.
Maybe that'll be the case. And the Kings are maybe thinking, hey, Keyshawn George, while he is in the mock drafts projected at 23, we're hearing a lot of people in the 20s aren't looking for younger guys and he might fall to the second round. And if he does fall to the second round, we want to have a good idea of whether or not that's a kind of guy that we should try and pounce on because brings a really, really intriguing set of skills. But besides that, yeah, it's Keyshawn George and Carlton Carrington. Try and say that 5 times fast.
Bub.
Bub. That's right. He does go by Bub. Thank you. That makes things so much easier. You know, those are the only 2 first round grades that the Kings have brought in. That's really strange. That is not normal. You know, again, unless there's just names that we don't know about, that definitely is the most real sign to me that we've seen that the Kings are really considering not making that 13th pick. I would still like it, especially, again, I said it the other day, I feel like as you watch more and more prospects, you kind of find guys that you're obsessed with. And then it's like, if the Kings don't make this pick, they messed up this entire draft. And I might be falling victim to that, but I just feel like there are people at 13 that could really help this team out. And I would hope that they would at least try and see who's there before they just automatically ship it off.
Do you think I don't want to say bad business, but do you think the Kings could be playing the game more and just bringing in guys so it at least looks like they're interested in it? Or do you think it's not that deep because of this draft?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's you could definitely read that for sure. I feel like, there's a good chance that you should want to kind of throw the scent off of people. You shouldn't really ever let them know your true intention, because if you are going to trade that 13th pick, it is maybe lessening the value of it a little bit if everyone knows that you're trying to ship it off. But I don't know. I feel like the Kings are in a spot where I just want them to get it right. Whatever they do, I just want them to do the right thing. And ultimately, as long as I leave the draft night and feel positive, that's all I'm going to take. I really am trying to keep an open mind about what the Kings do. Even like I said yesterday, I think even if they take a guard, I'm not going to understand it 100%, but I'll at least entertain what maybe makes sense about it. So as long as they get a good player who can help this team this season, I'm going to be for it.
Coming up next, we switch gears over to some football talk, ranking the wide receiver tiers. And also, speaking of wide receivers, Netflix show coming up with wide receivers, including a couple from the Niners. And we have a conversation on these shows where they peel back the curtain. You got the golf show, the F1 show. Do you like them? Do they do it for you? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.